Welcome to the Emerald Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Doyle, and on this podcast I speak to different Irish athletes about their highs, their lows, biggest battles, biggest successes, and why they fell in love with their sport.
In this episode I chat to Limerick footballer Tony McCarthy. We talk about playing with Kildimo and Limerick. We also dive into the new football rules, Tailteann Cup, strength and conditioning, and his thoughts on the upcoming All-Ireland finals. A brilliant, insightful chat about all things GAA. Enjoy the episode. Here's Tony.
Tony, how are you? You're very welcome to the podcast.
No problem at all, Chrissy. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on, Tony. And I know I suppose the season with Limerick ended a bit, or is ended now, let's say. Are you doing anything for the summer, or what are you up to, or are you getting up to anything?
Well, obviously, since the season finished, your kind of, I suppose, focus really now is... the club is starting this weekend in Limerick, so the focus is that, and I'm playing hurling as well, so you're kind of caught up for the summer with all that. But I suppose since the season finishing, you want to try to get a couple of holidays in and whatnot. But other than that, no, just taking it easy and relaxing really is the main thing. So I'm actually planning to build a house at the minute, so I'm kind of caught up with that at the minute. So, but it's not bad to have time for it.
Jesus, I have a couple of friends at the same thing to say that it takes up a lot of your time. There's a lot of work in it.
It is, but you know what? I'm a teacher, so it's not that I'm not juggling a couple of balls yet. But while I have the time, and it's good to have it to be able to put it in towards this. But it's not nice on the head sometimes, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, and just with Kildimo, then how are you fixed for the season of hurling football? Is that difficult to manage, Tony? Just going from, are you 1 week after another, or is it just kind of football then hurling, or how do you work it?
I suppose from the championship point of view, it's kind of they're good in the sense that we might do 2 rounds of football, then it might be 2 rounds of hurling. They kind of judge it like that. I know some counties they kind of do all the hurling first and then all the football, but we kind of interchange it. I suppose for our club, Kildimo Pallaskenry, it's a small rural club. We're dual senior, which there isn't too many of down here, so it's great for a small parish to have that. But we kind of have a small playing group. We have a lot of lads playing dual, so it is tricky. I suppose the training week is kind of structured in the sense that you might do half an hour football, 40 minutes hurling, and depending on what you're playing that weekend, they'll tailor that. But it can kind of feel like you haven't done an awful lot of work because it's tricky to load both, and you don't want to be out 4 or 5 nights a week. So to be fair, in recent years they've structured it very well, and lads seem to be enjoying it, and I think that's very important for our group, just to maintain high numbers and things like that. So looking forward to the season now.
It's unreal, yeah, because I suppose when you're dual, it's hard because there's always going to be a question of burnout there, and especially for yourself when you're with the county team as well, and then you're coming into club, and it's just trying to keep you're fresh for hurling, fresh for football, and just kind of do both really well for your club. It's a hard one, let's say, to get right, because I see it here at Wexford as well, and it's so hard by the end of it to be fresh. But I suppose from your point of view, Tony, if you're saying everyone's in a feel good factor, they're loving it, that's the main thing, that'll nearly keep you going.
I think so. I think you hear a lot of clubs like that, whereby especially dual clubs where you've a small tight knit group, and I think in situations where you're on every single weekend, which we're in the club here, we're facing into that. Obviously, the hurlers are in the All-Ireland this weekend, and obviously Kyle is involved for us there. So we might have 2 weeks of a break after the final, but after that, then it's probably going to be 8 or 9 weeks on the trot. So I think all the hard training is probably done. So maintaining that bit of a group and a bond, and you're probably with each other every couple of days, be it in the gym or training or doing recovery and things like that. So that's very, very important. But I think even outside of it, I think meeting up with fellas for coffee and things like that, all that does play into it, because I suppose you know yourself, when it's hot and heavy in championship and the bodies are sore, you kind of rely on those bonds, and often they can get you over the line as well.
Yeah, 100%. And growing up with them with Kildimo, Tony, did you is the group you started with, playing hurling football, are they I suppose, the close friends that you'd have and whatever, and as you say, it's maybe a small parish? I feel sometimes, I'm from a town myself, but when you're from a small parish almost, it's nearly easier to bring everyone together, and you're just kind of one knit community, if you get me.
Yeah, 100%. I suppose from my own point of view, like a lot of fellas my age are probably, I think when you play a J as a young person, you don't necessarily have any real commitments. It's probably the only thing really to do: go to the gym with your friends, go train that evening, maybe meet up after it. But obviously life takes over. Like, people have work opportunities abroad, the draw of maybe Australia, things like that. And that's probably hit us bad over the last couple of years. I think we counted, we're down maybe about 11 or 12 players over the last couple of years who've gone abroad for work and different reasons. So look, that's life at the end of the day. Like, you can't stop fellas doing that. And if I was probably different when I was young, I probably looked at it and said, well, I want to play a J for as long as I can. But certainly for any young fella now, I'd definitely be saying, even opportunities like going abroad in the summer for America to play football or hurling, whatever it might be, I'd nearly pay for their plane ticket, because I think it's a great experience, and you build great contacts, and you probably build, even when you're away, you probably build a better appreciation for your club at home. So all that plays into it. But I suppose, like any club, fellas will retire, lads will go abroad, but then you always have younger players coming in to feed the group and make it better. And we kind of have that at the minute. So they'll need a couple of years, but they're great, and they're mad enthusiastic, and they're putting their best foot forward and keeping things competitive, which is what our group needs.
Yeah, that's an incredible insight to it as well, because I feel kind of similar. It's like, if you're after giving everything for your county, let's say, and you get an opportunity, let's say, to go abroad and, get a holiday and play for a team, like, it is unbelievable. But then, as you say, the other side to that is there's an opening for lads who are hungry to play back home. Like, they might not necessarily get to play senior if the other lads are there, so they're actually getting a chance to, play senior and get it. So it nearly works hand in hand, as long as you've enough at home to kind of hungry to come and do it, and then the lads abroad kind of go and enjoy themselves.
100%. And lads, I think younger people need that. Sometimes they need to get the monkey off the back and get abroad and get a taste for maybe living independently and away from their parents, maybe. But and just get a sense of what the world is about, and like that, they probably build a bit of an appreciation for what they have at home, and that can feed into their. Sometimes you see young fellas come home, and the next year or two they've not that an attitude change, but you could see they're really driving standards and personally and for the group. So it's great for them.
Yeah, and I do feel as someone who's been abroad as well, I feel like it's a bit of a life change. You're kind of thrown into the deep end, and mom and dad are not doing everything for you, and there's no kind of get out of jail card almost. You have to do everything for yourself. So even appreciation for maybe the manager who's setting up things, being on time, all these kind of little things now you're kind of more focused on and aware of, because when you're younger, like, you'd be like, Asher will be grander almost, but it does change.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Tell me, Tony, in terms of moving from Kildimo, then how did you get started with the whole Limerick setup, or what was that like at the start, going into the panel and all that, or how did that come about?
Yeah, look, I suppose I think if you come down to Limerick here and ask every young fella, or most fellas, even their 20s and 30s, they all probably would have said they probably went for some trial at some stage, or they were on some development panel for hurling or football or whatever. But I suppose for myself, I probably started under 16 level. I didn't really play started playing hurling maybe here in Kildimo, maybe under 10s, things like that. And I suppose hurling was number one in our club here. Football was probably something you played maybe on the side, or we had some lads who just played football, so there was a team there for them. But just played away socially with it. Didn't really have much of an interest in football, really. Just, I suppose, enjoyed meeting up with my friends as a young fellow would. But I think I had a match one time. I couldn't drive it. I think I could have been maybe I was 18, maybe. I think I was learning to drive, so my father was bringing me to a match. And I remember came back from the match, I checked my phone, and it was a missed call for a number I didn't know who it was, and checked the voicemail, and it was the current John Bruder, who was the manager at the time, and just got in touch with me, just to ask if I'd be interested in coming in training. So I think initially I didn't really know what to expect really, but took him up in the offer, gave him a call back, and came in the following Tuesday or Wednesday, I think, for training. And I'd say the first certainly the first year or two, you know, I think it became, I knew very very straight away that I wasn't going to be playing whatever. I was only young, so I think his idea was, and I suppose he sat down with me at the time and explained that it was just going to be an opportunity just to get used to the environment, I suppose, get a feel for the standards that are involved to play at that level, to compete at that level. And I think that was very, very important. And I think you might see a lot of younger players, maybe unless you're David Clifford, who can just naturally come onto the scene at a young age and take it by storm. But you see a lot of younger players maybe who are probably have talent, but are maybe reeled in a small bit just to be it develop physically, mentally, which is a massive component of it, and just give them that time to bed in and find their feet. And I think certainly that was, while it might be frustrating, you're training, you're putting all the work in, and you might be playing, but I think in the long run, when I look back, I think that was very important, just to, I suppose, get a sense of what this is all about, and, you know, I suppose prepare yourself for what's to come when you are playing, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And you said there about standards and the environment, Tony, because I think it's sometimes like, as a club, you could go to the gym, look after yourself, train hard, but as you probably know better than myself, at inter-county level, you've the S&C is probably, you know, a step up in itself, the level of fitness, even mentally going into big games and all like that. What was the biggest challenge, I suppose? Was there anything you thought, gee, this is something, you know, this is something big I need to work on here, or this is really important? Did anything kind of stand out for you at the time?
I think definitely the S&C element, the physical element, absolutely. Like, yeah, look, I think when you're young, like the mentality thing, you can be a bit carefree. You mightn't overthink things. You kind of do things not rashly, but without a whole pile of thought. So that fear element, maybe not so much, but certainly the S&C element. I mean, you were going in training, competing with fellas who had 8 to 10 years of S&C work, and before even stepping on the field, you could see it. You know, just the way they prepared, physically the way they looked. And then off the field, they might be very, very nice, and then you get on the field and they turn into horrible people. But they were competitors. So, and that's something that I suppose early days you learned, that, you know, it's all nice and nice, first of all, but just the personnel involved there, they were just raw competitors, and when they got on the field, they turned into a different person. But the second they stepped off it, they were different. And it was just that ability to switch it on and off. But that was probably the biggest thing, really. And, you know, I think coming off it, I probably realised that with S&T, it's difficult when you're training and playing so much to maybe put that bit of work in. But any opportunity, certainly when I was young, to have that time to work on all that S&T work, I tried my best to use every week I had or day I had, whatever it might be.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I'd say it's huge, because especially when you're young, it just feels like you see players go into panels, and it definitely takes a year or two to fully get up to kind of, you know, it's not like a quick fix. It definitely takes a while to kind of get to a place where you're happy and in that zone. It's funny you say about the kind of the nice guy theory. I had a trainer once who used to say to me, nice guys don't win everything, don't win anything. And he was kind of like, I think he was trying to breed into us to be like a bit cuter or a bit kind of smarter on the pitch, you know, that kind of way. Just that, you know, just because you do need it. There's no point saying it. And, you know, you can I watch Kilkenny and Hurling, you watch Kerry, you watch Dublin. Seem like the nicest lads once the game is over, you know, but once it's on the pitch, it's like, we need to win, and that's it, you know.
Yeah. No, it'd be great if everyone was nice and all that, but no, it's sadly it's not. And certainly at that level, even more so. Like at club level, there's an element of it, but yeah, certainly it's at that level, it seems to go up another notch as well. But then the ability to turn it off second the full-time whistle goes is even more drastic, because you might have a fella come over to you and might be asking how you are after the game and all that, and you were saying, well, you didn't say that to me about 10 minutes ago, or, you know, different. So, but yeah, look, that's just the game, and that's just the level, and that's just, if you want to compete at that level, that's kind of the way you have to be. you know.
Yeah, 100%. And did you notice that more? Because I know you'd be competing and playing the Munster Championship. Did you notice that more when it came up again, let's say the Cork and the Kerrys, who were, just might had their eyes on Munster, but even more at those times? Did you notice they just were even just an extra level of that, on the pitch?
Yeah, like I suppose I think if you went looking for it, I think absolutely they've no problem giving it back to you. But I always kind of felt like certainly Kerry have dominated down here in Munster for so long, and in recent years, I know Clare have got to finals, and Cork recently have pushed on as well. Like, but I always kind of felt like it's more so the teams at maybe at our level, you'll get it more, because Kerry probably know themselves that if they're playing us in a quarter final or semi final, that they're probably thinking ahead to July or June or July or whatever it might be. So it's almost like they don't want to waste their time with that. But it's more the teams that are at our own level, like the Alliance League is so competitive for us. You're competing against teams at your level, and every game is a dogfight all the time. So every time I finding those games, certainly you see a match up, and certainly you'd see that element coming into those games a lot more.
Yeah, and do you think, Tony, the likes of the Tailteann Cup has kind of be a help with that as well? Because obviously some teams, like I would have seen it with Dublin and Leinster, and you say Kerry and Munster, where there is just a dominance. There's no point saying anything else there for a long time. Do you think the Tailteann Cup has been a real positive thing in terms of, obviously they're jumping from the league then to the Tailteann Cup, where it's kind of, really competitive from one to the other, instead of, the league, the championship then, and then, nearly being out? Do you find that?
I would think so. I mean, like, if you look at the way it's structured, like, I suppose in recent years we played in Division 4 and Division 3, and I think that there isn't a whole pile of a difference between Division 4 and Division 3. If there is, it's very, very minimal, I find. I think where you see a jump is when you go from 3 to 2. Teams, bit more, there's a lot more quality there. S&C, physically wise, the players are better. So I suppose coming back to it, I would see massive value in that. I know you look at Westmeath this year, winning the Leinster final, things like that, and occasionally across the different provinces in the quarterfinals and semi-finals, you might get the odd surprise or odd shock result. But by and large, I think with the Tailteann Cup, generally all the games are competitive. It's probably, 12, 14 teams competing against each other, and they're all at a similar level. And even if you look at Wicklow just last weekend, like a Division 4 team, probably disappointed they didn't get out of Division 4. They knocked us out this year. Very, very good team. And the work they've done the last couple of years, that isn't just this year, that's the last couple of years. They've been unlucky in previous years. The work they've done, they deserve to be where they're at. And, I think that result alone shows the value of the Tailteann Cup, how I think they could be the first Division 4 team to have won it. So I think looking at that alone, I think you can see massive value in the competition. But even football as a whole this year has been exceptional. It's been brilliant. Every game, there's been no real game where you get journalists or pundits questioning, we need to look at this, we need to look at that.
Yeah,
it's been fantastic. So.
No, it's deadly, Tony, and definitely something else that adds to that as well is the new football rules. How do you feel about it? Like, do you love playing in it? Do you think it suits yourself, or how do you find it?
Yeah, like when they first came in first, I was kind of looking at them and I just thought, like, I was thinking of certain teams. Like, I was thinking of Kerry. Like, I was like, imagine having 3 up.
Yeah.
You turn the ball over and they have the ability to kick it in to the forwards they have. So as a neutral straight away, I was thinking, this is going to be unbelievable, I think certainly it definitely starts certain teams better, but I think overall for the game, I think absolutely. I think physically it can be tougher. Sometimes it can turn into ping pong, whatever. But yeah, I think there's obviously a big emphasis, and we would have seen this year on just winning primary possession, and even this year it seems to be revolving around kickouts and winning the breaks.
Yeah.
And the stats are showing that, like, the team that are winning the kickouts, are converting down the far end, or at least putting the ball dead. Because if you don't put the ball dead, it's a killer. You're just you're on the defence straight away, and if you've come in a body to attack, it can be a struggle. But like looking at Kerry this year, like I think Kerry's kickouts they could be up around 8 or 90%. You know, and you can really see it in their conversion rate down the far end. So certainly, the new rules have brought the game on, but there's definitely different ways of looking at how to not exploit the new rules, but how to use them to your advantage. And look, I think it's just made the game far better to watch as a neutral, and definitely for playing 100%.
Yeah, and I'm always thinking they're watching as a back myself. I'm like, don't give the ball away, because you know the way you said the forwards are up there for the cornerback. It must be you must go insane if the ball's given away, because there's nearly not. If you're on one of the top players, there's nothing you can do. You're stung. You know.
Yeah, 100%. Like if you have a team there that can kick. If you have a team there can kick 30 or 40 yards on a turnover, and it's a 3v3, like the full back line inside. I've been there myself at times. You know, you get caught sometimes as the last man. You can't go up you're going to breach, but you end up marking, and you end up looking. And especially if you're chasing a game, maybe you might commit the bodies, and you're looking, and there's just 30 yards of space in front of you. You're saying, if you get turned over here, like it's going to be in trouble.
You're done for, yeah. What do you make of the one, Tony? This is the only one where I kind of feel, and I'm not too sure on it yet. You know the forward advance mark, where you catch the ball inside, but you can kind of have a shot or you can have a play, and then it's kind of brought back for a free. I don't know. I kind of feel like you're already after getting the ball inside, you could take a shot, but also you're getting a free play as well. I kind of feel like, is it too much nearly, for someone to get? Did you ever think about that yourself, or what do you make of it?
You know what, like, it was only after watching the Kerry Dublin game, like, because I think Paddy Clifford kicked about 3 or 4 balls in, and I think there was 3 or 4 of them called, and even they said at half time that there's hardly been that amount of advanced marks this year in the whole championship. Like, it was definitely something this year that we didn't, even in our training games, like, or even in any games we played. I don't remember too many of them, because I suppose people are so cautious with the ball, and if you're defending against a low block, which is in Division 4, Division 3, often you're playing into packed defences. So that opportunity to give that ball in or kick it in, it's probably a low percentage pass. So you're probably told not to do it, or you'll probably be looking over towards the sideline. But I suppose a few years ago that mark was in, wasn't it? Whereby not the advance mark, but if you kicked it from outside the 45, I'm not sure where you had to be to catch it, but that was in before the new rules.
That was in, and I actually didn't mind that at all. But if you caught it, I think you took the free. But it's just this one where you nearly get a free play, and then you get a free if it doesn't work out. It's like it's a dream almost, you know, for a forward.
I think the old mark, they probably got good traction from it, or good. They probably felt people enjoyed that, and people felt that was beneficial. So maybe they probably thought, we probably have to keep some variation of this in. I think, like, you don't see it as much, but I suppose for the purists, the people who love to see the ball being kicked, and not necessarily kicked, not a high ball in now, but like the ones at the weekend we saw, they were all deliberate passes, probably uncontested. For the purists, they're nice. It's nice to see, I suppose. But like you said, if you're inside there and you're taking a shot, even though you know you have a shot coming anyway, or free shot. So yeah, it's a funny one.
I love the way you said, like, everyone's getting behind the ball, not whatever like that. Paddy Clifford's probably one of the only people who can do it anyway. He's going to find someone inside in a packed defence,
100%.
Fairness.
100%. Yeah.
And Tony, tell me, who's the hardest person, I suppose, you've marked? Is there anybody you've marked where you thought, Jesus, that was tough going, or is there anybody that come to your mind?
I suppose early days, the old system, do you remember there was qualifiers? So you play a game, you play your first round of Munster, first round of Leinster, whatever. If you got knocked out, you went into the qualifiers, and normally you were waiting, like, I remember we used to hate it, because if we lost in the first round, you could be waiting 7 weeks for the first qualifier game in the old system. So thankfully the new system isn't like that now, but I remember I think Mayo had a bad year that year. I think they could have got knocked out early of Connacht, and we got them in the qualifiers below Limerick, and I think I was about 22 maybe, but I remember I came on and ended up marking Lee Keegan. And this was about 15 minutes to go. And I kind of thought, like, I was relatively fit at that. I was young, so I was relatively quick, fit. And I thought, do you know what, no. I think we could have been losing at that stage. I goes, do you know what, no, I'm just going to, when I get the ball, I'm going to try to take him on. But I remember the first ball, someone got the ball and he went for a run. And you'd swear I had played 60 minutes and he'd just come on. I just thought, athletically, and obviously you saw what he did throughout his career with his ability to kick points from half back, things like that, and be a playmaker, and like he'd burst through lines. His athleticism was outrageous, you know. Yeah, so he's certainly one that comes to mind.
How fit do you have to be, Tony, to make someone feel that they've only come on the pitch, right, after about 60 minutes? You make them feel like they've played a game and you've been on for 60 minutes and you're the one who's firing through. Like, how fit do you have to be in that zone? I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it comes back to what you were saying, though. I think the S&C element of it, do you know that? Because, like, I suppose with S&C, it's not just about like the physical in terms of lifting weight, things like that, but like that aerobic capacity is something that I think you see young fellas coming in now, like, and they're fit, but then when they play a 70-minute match, they're blown, you know. And I think over the years, as you play, your body adapts, your body builds, and you actually improve that capacity. And, you know, certainly he was probably in his late 20s, maybe, if not 30, that day we played him. And, like, he probably had 10, 12 years of that built up. And, like, so sometimes there's this notion that as you get older, you might get slower or whatever. And, of course, that will happen naturally. But, you know, certainly when you're coming into your prime, or even at the tail end of those prime years, you know, people sometimes think that, like, they might be finished. But you see a lot of players now in that bracket, and they're playing some of the best football of their life. Like Niall Scully is another example.
Yeah.
Another man would run all day, but like he's 32 or 3, like, and he had probably one of his best years this year. You know, so there's that notion sometimes in the GAA that we can almost write off that, but certainly from seeing players of that age, you know, you build after years of all that S&C and running. I know people, there's this term, they've a lot of mileage in the legs, but you know, trust me, sometimes that's the wrong way to look at it totally, that these people are absolute freaks, shall we say. Yeah.
I love that too, because it's definitely a lad up on the ditch who's looking down, and a lad didn't go for one run. He can't wait to say mileage in the legs, lads. Legs are gone. Can't wait to say it. You know, But do you know what as well? I find as well, Tony, especially I would say Scully and Keegan and the likes of these guys, it's good habits for so many years, you know, built in of doing things right. Of course, that's going to keep them fit and make them be able to perform at the top level longer. You know what I mean? They're not taking the biscuit for a few years or whatever. It's just the right things for year after year. I can only imagine, you know?
Yeah. Like, I agree 200%. Like, you often hear people saying, like if you take someone like Scully, for example, like, he's 32 or 33, but chronologically, he could be 28 or 9.
Yeah.
You know, so he's probably operating like a fella at that age. And I suppose sometimes, and that does come down to what you're saying, building those good habits when you're younger, like, and I suppose not living your life like a monk or anything like that, but just building good habits and trying to live as healthy a life as possible will definitely help that. And, you know, I think you see a lot of players across Ireland, county and club, and, you know, they have a lot of those habits now. And you see a lot of fellas in their 30s across Ireland, and they're probably playing the best football of their career because of those habits that they either had from when they were young, or habits that they picked up throughout their career, things like that.
Yeah, I'd love to see I think the whoop does the age, doesn't it? I'd love to see some of what the ages have come up for some of those players that are, I'd say it's into the late 20s, I'd say, for those in their 30s or so on, I'd say.
Yeah.
Put a lot of us to shame, Tony, I'd say. Maybe not you now, but myself anyway.
It's not with that now. It's not either. Myself.
Speaking of great players, actually, probably Clifford gave me the reminder to ask you about who's the hardest player you played against. But is there any venue, Tony, that Is there any venue? Because I know lads sometimes go on about this. They love playing in particular stadium or particular place. Is there any pitch for you that you're like, I always play well here, or it's one you just like?
I suppose, like in Limerick, we've played a couple of games. Well, we've played a fair few games in the Gaelic grounds, and I suppose home is where the heart is kind of.
Yeah.
Like it's we had the opportunity last year with Salton. The hurlers unfortunately got knocked out, so normally they do all their training inside there from kind of April time on. So we were lucky when they got knocked out. The county board gave us the opportunity to train there for about, I think we had 3 or 4 weeks straight training there. So that was lovely just to be able to go there. And there's a big difference between going to maybe a big open club field or something like that versus kind of training in there. I think even lads get 1 or 2% extra just with the facilities and the quality of the pitch and things like that. So certainly there would be probably the main one. Obviously last year we were lucky to play in Croke Park. We played there 3 times last year as it panned out. So that was unbelievable, and like playing there is almost what dreams are made of. So that's fantastic. But I suppose you want, like, some club players will go through their career and they might get that opportunity, or any player. So I think the Gaelic ground certainly is great, and a lot of club players in Limerick as well, they might contest county finals in the Gaelic grounds as well. So I think there's something special about that as well.
Yeah, unreal. And even Croke Park, Tony, how did you feel kind of walking in there? Did you notice straight away like that the pitch was just 10 times bigger? What was it like even communicating wise on the pitch? Was it grand? Did you hear the outside noise, or how did you feel on the day?
I think certainly the funny thing about it is, like, I can't, like, I had to watch games back. Like, there's sometimes when you're in a game, like, you almost forget what's around you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like you literally don't take in the stands or anything, or the crowd or anything like that. That's something that they've certainly stood out there. One big thing I found was the sound. Yeah, can't hear a thing, which might be a bad thing sometimes if the manager's giving out to you.
Yeah.
But I think that the sound definitely, if you're at the Cusack stand side of the field and the manager might be at the Hogan stand, you can't hear a thing there. Definitely not, no.
Mad, I always kind of figured that it was just because there's just so much noise in the stadium, and obviously when you're in the thick of it, it could be a blur in itself. I just feel like it'd be so easy just to be so focused that you just wouldn't hear what's going on other sides of the pitch. Yeah. And I even see that even on TV sometimes. I just feel like lads don't hear a call and stuff like that sometimes. It's just like, there's just too much going on there almost.
Yeah, and that was something we were kind of, I suppose last year they flagged it as well, that we really went after the communication on the field, because often if you were in the Gaelic grounds, even you would be able to hear it. You might be able to hear a coach or whatever, and obviously they're quite strict with the Mayor Ishkes and things like that in terms of coming onto the field and selectors. So I think we really tried to focus on whoever was closest to that side to try to get the message across or whatever, because it's impossible.
Yeah.
You're relying on one man on the sideline to do everything, and even if he's getting, because most managers nowadays have the earpieces, so it's very, even if you're close to the other sideline, sometimes it can be hard to hear. So I think on the field communication is probably the big thing there.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Because obviously Gaelic Ground's a big stadium too. I know it's not as big as Croke Park, but it's just funny the way the difference can happen, where it's just kind of like almost you just can't communicate. Like it is. Geez, it is mad. Tony, I want to say to you as well, like in Limerick, I suppose you have the Limerick hurlers who are, one of the greatest teams of all time. You have the Limerick footballers there who are, I suppose, you're battling the league, aiming to win like a Talton Cup. Is it kind of a get behind each other kind of like that within the county and doing your best? Because I know obviously, because it would have been the same in Wexford. We won Leinster back in 2019 with the hurlers and stuff like that. The hurlers now are winning kind of All Irelands and stuff like that. Obviously they're getting such a limelight, but at the same time they're brilliant, and like you're doing, the footballers are aiming to get the Talton Cup, and that could be on the way too. Like you're just kind of getting behind each other. doing your best within the county. Wouldn't that be fair to say as well?
Oh yeah, look, I don't think there's any player. I don't think there's any player in our panel would speak ill of that group. I mean, what they've done for us as a playing group, for the people of Limerick, you know, as you said, they're probably one of the best teams they've ever played it. You know, and I suppose we've benefited a lot from seeing that success. And I suppose, I know they're probably the standard bearers at hurling, but like, we probably want to look at things they're doing and see how can we implement or do those things in our panel as well. And I know certainly, like, I know I mentioned last year, like they went out early and we met a few of them, like, and they had nothing but positive things to say to us, you know. And I can only imagine for a group like them that aspire every year to be competing for All Ireland's, it wasn't a pleasant day for them or pleasant time being not early, but you know, the fact that they could put all that aside, and I suppose ultimately the work that they're putting in, we're also putting in, and we recognise that as much as they do as well. So yeah, they had great things to say to us, and I suppose for a lot of us, like, some of us have club mates playing on that team, and you know, we've probably known them for years, and seeing them succeed as well is brilliant. And you know, hopefully long may it last, and hopefully we continue the trend on this coming Sunday. But yeah, look, they're the standard bearers for all the hurling teams across Ireland, and I think we could probably, from our own panel, look at things they're doing and try and implement it into our own, because I played with a few of those lads, like Garrod Hegarty played football, William O'Donoghue played on the 21 football as well, like, so like you see the competitive edge they have, so, and it's no real surprise to see what they're doing now or what they've gone on to do, you know. So no, they're a fantastic group.
Yeah, 100%. And there's something about having a buzz within a county too, Tony, in terms of like when everyone's happy and, you know, mad for the sport and stuff like that, going to games, you know, it does give you a buzz to kind of go on and do more and, you know, want to win. You know what I mean? You get a sense of it within a county. It's like whatever you put your hand to, whether you're going back to your club, your county, you know, you just want to go and win.
100%. Like, in the last 8 years, like the hurling, like the cool camps are all going on here at the minute, like, and the boys, you go up there now to any cool camp, there's 200, 300 kids running around enjoying themselves. And you know, obviously we've been lucky so far this year with the hurlers winning the league and the Munster, and recently the minors won the All Ireland as well. So like locally, our camp here in Kildimo was on, and yesterday I think all three of those cups are up there, you know. So when young people see that success and see that silverware, you know, that just feeds the next generation, you know, and that's what it needs in counties like Limerick. Like, it's great having a generational group, but you always have to be thinking about what's kind of coming next. So, you know, when you get the fans behind it, but more importantly, the younger players, that just feeds into it as well. And I suppose you want to keep a winning trend going for years to come.
Absolutely, because it can go as much as you enjoy it, it can go so quick. So you have to always be on the ball, as you say, getting the new lads in. Just when you mentioned Will O'Donoghue there and Garrod Hegarty, Tony, and I know you said the Kyle is your club as well. Who would you say is the best player you've played with? You've obviously, I'd say you've played with loads of great players, but is there any player that just, I suppose, sticks out in your head where you're like, he'd be the best player I played with?
I would say certainly from the hurling aspect, I definitely Kyle, 100%. I've been.
How do you stop him, Tony?
Huh?
How do you stop him? Honestly,
I don't know. There's been times there where I've had to go full back in the club for hurling. I got demoted, we call it. We'd be laughing about it. But they put him inside because they got the last couple of years they've kind of said, like, the way hurling has gone, we have a few lads who are comfortable from shooting out the field, so they kind of thought, well, look, if we put this fella inside, and we put him inside with another fella there, Darren O'Connell, he was on the hurling panel a few years ago as well, but we had this notion, well, look, we can either go route one, or we can, if not, the opposition are going to drop back, and then we have fellas out the field who comfortably score from distance. But they put him inside full forward, and like with the football, with the having all the space in front of you, Hurling, at times hurling seems to be worse because in football it's kind of slow play sometimes, whereas with hurling we have fellas that can hit a ball 60 yards into the corner, and when you're with this fella, oh my god. Look, he's a freak of nature. He's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
But you know, one thing I will say about him is what he's done for Limerick and whatever, and all his accolades. You know, as soon as Sunday is done, and hopefully he adds another medal to his collection within a week, if not even, he'll be back at that club there and full steam ahead. You know, he's a great club man, and for all he's done over the last 10 years, he's always came back and put his shoulder to the wheel and tried to bring the club on. So I can't say too many great things about him. Yeah. He's been great for us, and he's been brilliant for Limerick as well.
Good sign of a man too that comes back, you know, so quick after that, because it'd be easy going, like, we're all human. It'd be easy, like, just party it out there and just like take it easy, you know. That's the big thing. But to come back to the club, as you say, that quick is unbelievable too. I can't stop thinking about the poor full back who sees him coming in. Usually you'd say if someone's nippy, you say, gee, I might have the physicality on him, but you're the size of him as well. You know, what do you do?
His size, I think he's everything. Size, power, strength. I don't know what he's like long distance though. I wouldn't mind taking him on a long distance race. But he's got everything. He's deadly. He's deadly. But sure, you see the way he plays, and even like you look at oppositions nowadays, like oppositions are trying to keep the ball away from him. You know?
Yeah, no. So you would poke it to in fairness, if I was a keeper and I saw Kyle Hayes on this side, I'm poking it to that side.
100%.
Unless there's someone taller or bigger than him, which I doubt there is. I'm definitely doing that, you know.
Yeah. I know he's a bit of a beast, alright.
Tony, tell me, is there anybody then on the football side who you think that you might have played with then who would be the best player you've played with, or someone that you would have admired, let's say, or looked up to even?
I think certainly when I went in first, I played with a fella called Shawnee Buckley.
Right.
He would have been, I suppose, in his late 20s, maybe 30 when I first went in. He would have been from Drumculloher Broadford there. He's, I suppose, their club went through a spell there maybe in the early 2000s, mid 2010s, where they were nearly competing for Munster clubs at senior. Very, very fantastic group of players there, but he was the captain at the time when I first came in, and I remember I spoke to a manager beforehand. I'd say it was maybe in a year that stage, and the manager kind of pulled me. He said, "We kind of need to see more from you, you know." And he goes, "Tonight, now, whoever you're on in the match, just, you know, make sure to let him know you're there, or whatever." So lo and behold, I ended up on this fella, and this fella was like sergeant. So before training, he'd be trying to set the standards. He'd be talking to fellas, roaring, shouting. But he was like an army general. But he was a fantastic player to go with it, you know. But we ended up scrapping on the ground anyway. And we ended up ripping each other's babes and things like that. And I remember afterwards he came up to me and he was kind of laughing and joking. But it was on. I kind of felt like I gained his respect by doing it.
Yeah.
But I think for everything he did for Limerick, and I suppose how he trained, because this fella trained at 100% all the time. There was never a day where, so some days you might go have an off session or you mightn't be 100%. This fella was never like that. So I think, and he was a hardy fella as well on the field, a competitor, and you never got anything easy. So I would say him, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's good too having someone though who's like that in terms of a standard for anyone new coming in, because you can just say, watch this fella, or just like see how he goes about everything, and you know you'll get to know pretty quick what's expected or what to do. You know, it is funny though that I think that's such a GAA thing as well, with the respect thing, where you nearly have to pick a bit of an argument or a fight. Then, you know, an hour later, then you're laughing and joking almost. Yeah, he's a good lad. He wants it. You know what I mean? It's funny the way it works.
It's almost like a test, and like it almost seems to be every younger player probably goes through to some stage where they get into a bit of a scuffle there, and it's almost just like the seal of approval. Nearly.
Yeah, Jesus, no, it's unreal. I wanted to ask you as well, Tony, just not to leave, I suppose, management out. What was the impact of Jimmy Lee like within the Limerick squad, and what has he, I suppose, what has he brought?
Yeah, look, I suppose, you know, if you define the role of manager, like, I mean, you get a lot of managers who probably just name the team and might have a word with fellas if they're not playing, or they might come up and congratulate you for performance after the match. But like, Jimmy's been exceptional, and he's been involved with that group. Even with his brother Billy, when he was the manager, he was kind of floating around the group, helping fellas, things like that. And I think Jimmy probably epitomises the role of what a manager should be. You know, I suppose there's life on the field, but I think more importantly, there's life off the field. And Jimmy's been exceptional, even for myself and for other fellas, with trying to help them with their life off the field, because I know he works his role off the field, his job is heavily involved in HR, so he knows the importance of I suppose having a balance, and he knows that if lads are content off the field and, you know, they don't have any stresses or worries with things that he feels he can help, then at least he knows that lads have the best opportunity to put their best foot forward on the field. So he's been brilliant, and he's been phenomenal to every player, and if he can help where possible, he will. He's been brilliant. And I suppose what he did for our group for the last couple of years and even last year was brilliant. And look, I know things probably didn't go to plan this year, but I wouldn't say it's any real reflection on what he does for the playing group and how he's brought everyone together.
And Tony, do you know what? It's unbelievable too when someone kind of builds that connection with you that, you know, will do anything for you, help you out. Suddenly you want to do everything for that person. You know, you don't even want to let them down or whatever. You'll actually, you know, you'll do anything, as I say, you know, just for that person, because you're like, yeah, I want to do it for myself, I want to do it for the team, but geez, I can't let him down. You know what I mean? You'll go above and beyond, is what I'm saying, I suppose.
Oh, he's brilliant. I mean, like, you could be driving along there out of the blue and Jimmy will ring you and be like, what's this fella with? And then he'll ring you and he'll be like, oh, come here, you mentioned this there, I might have mentioned something to him 2 months ago. And he'll just ring and say, how are you getting on with that? Do you need any help with it? Do you know? And I think that's, I think like that, I think when you hear that, I think, as you said, Chrissy, like the respect thing is, you know, there's days there where things might be going great, or you might have lost the game, or training mightn't have gone well, but like, you remember people like that, and when people like that are treating you with respect, you kind of, it almost motivates you to try to go the extra mile and run through a wall, because, you know, I always said that, like, I think you should want to run through a mile or run through a wall for your manager, because so that'll give you that extra bit on the field then.
Yeah, no, 100%, Tony, and it's yeah, you'd like to think every manager is like that, to be fair, but it's probably rare than we'd almost like to admit, you know, in terms of a manager, you know, being like that, because 30 players, a lot to kind of, as you say, remember stuff about everyone and kind of check in with everyone. It does take a special kind of person to be able to deliver and do that too, 100%.
Yeah, like, it's a tough role. Like, I mean, he's got, as you said, he's, in some cases he might be dealing with maybe a panel 36, and he could be dealing with maybe 10 lads who are kind of on a training panel, who are coming in and off, and then you're dealing with all the managing team. You're probably dealing with the football board, the county board. You're juggling so many balls there, but I think it's just a testament to the man that he just has the ability to do it and not overreact, stay in the same mindset all the time, and just treat every problem as it comes.
As even as a teacher, when you're dealing with so many, Tony, sometimes it's hard not to be contrary and narky, and there he is dealing with so many. I think I'd be a little bit narkier than that now, I'd be honest with you. I'd be not losing the rag, but the grey hairs be coming, if you know what I mean.
I know. And they test your times, to be fair, but yeah, no, it takes certain qualities to deal with all that, definitely.
Tony, come here. I don't want to pass you by without asking you about on Sunday as a proud Limerick man as well. What are you thinking? I know you're going to tell me Limerick will win, but what are you thinking about for Sunday?
Yeah, like, it's obviously it's a big challenge. You know, Galway, after a great result in the semi-final, have kind of gone about their business quietly, and I suppose no one has been talking about them a whole while. You know, we played them in the league final, I think it was, in the Gaelic grounds, and they were, for the first half, they were the best team, you know, and it was a tight game, and I think every game at Hurling this year has been like that Limerick have played. They've been tough, competitive games, but so certainly I think I'd definitely be expecting that on Sunday. I think I wouldn't be for one second thinking that it's going to be an easy game. I do think, of course, I want Limerick to win. I do think they'll get over the line, but I don't think it'll be very, very easy. It'll be a tough game, and obviously Galway have the threat of the younger players as well that have brought them on a lot this year. And obviously they have the more experienced fellas too. So it certainly makes for a great game, absolutely, for the neutral, which I think Hurling needs, because it's probably been, and there's been a lot of talk in recent weeks about the Hurling Championship and how can we make things fair and how can we make things a bit more competitive. So I think it's hopefully set for a great game Sunday, and hopefully Limerick get out the right side.
Yeah, no, I do think Limerick will win myself, but I have to say the way Galway have kind of come up under the radar, and as you say, just got about their business, no airs or graces about them, just got there. You always have to be kind of wary of a team like that too, not to catch you on the hop. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. Look, we'll see. I mean, like the games they've played this year, they have been quite impressive. Like Dublin had a great run in Leinster, and the way they played in the Leinster final, I saw a bit of it, or seen bits of it, and they looked impressive in that game. So look, we'll see. Hopefully a great game to watch anyway. Definitely.
And Tony, last thing I'll ask you then is, let's see, can you get 2 out of 2? Kerry and Mayo then. Who do you think, Kerry or Mayo?
Again, tough game. What's going now the weekend? I thought I was like Loud have been going about their business well all year as well, but just the work rate, and I can imagine the heat from Saturday, how hot it was, but the work rate that all those Mayo, every time a Loud player got in the ball, he was surrounded by 3 or 4 Mayo fellas. So you have that element, and obviously you have that inside line for Mayo as well. They're frightening.
They're electric.
Both teams are frightening. So I think that will be a big say. But you have Mayo who are bringing that, but then you have Kerry who I think have the ability to assess a game for what it is, and they have the ability to change or play the way they want to play. Look at the way they dismantled Dublin the weekend. Like, that Dublin defence is phenomenal. Yeah. The way they set up there, they don't concede a whole pile, but the way they stretch it, they had width and depth, and they stretched it so much that they had those gaps there to kick those balls in or dismantle it or get the 1v1. So if you're to ask me, I think the whole nation wants Mayo to win. And I probably would love to see Mayo win just for a change, but I just think Kerry have that bit of class and that ability to just assess a game for what it's worth, and they can change their styles depending on what their position have.
Is it unreal, Tony, that they say like a good job was done on Clifford, but he still got 5 points? And even though he did that, then Paulie Clifford comes and gets another couple of points himself, and it's considered a good game. Like, good do you have to be that you score a couple of points and it's still considered like you were kind of wrapped up and looked after well? But
they have threats all over. Like, it's so difficult. And then I know he was probably a bit quieter last day, but Dylan Ganey was probably an all-star player of the year for him previously, So there's so much to it as well. But I seen there on social media that they were joking about flying Oisin Mullen home, because he's been brilliant over in Australia. He's probably man marking most of the best players over there. So they were on about trying to get him home. But after Clifford's phenomenal. He'll do you on a loop, he'll do you in a back door. He's He's everything.
I tell you what, now it could be embarrassing as good as he's doing, because I heard he's doing well in Australia as well. But it'd be embarrassing to come all the way home and then get a grueler in an All-Ireland final, and it could happen because Clifford's so good.
To be a bit awkward coming back to Australia, then it probably says a lot more then for the lads he's backing over then.
Yeah. No, the lads will be saying there, I must be cat. I must be good at all.
100%. Yeah.
I tell you, Tony, if Mayo do happen to win, I'll make sure I'm in Castlebar. I tell you, because I'd say the crack up there, if finally did come home to Mayo, it'd be unreal.
I think the whole county or the whole country then up there. Yeah.
It'd be hard to get a B&B.
It'd be brilliant. We've neighbours up the road here from Mayo, and he's already, I'd say, I was with my girlfriend there, and I'd say after a full time, I said, I guarantee you now, this fella's going to message me. And he messaged me 5 minutes later on about trying to get tickets. But look, they're great people, and you have to admire. I know they've been unlucky in the finals they've been in, but they are unbelievable fans. They will literally
deadly.
That game in Limerick, I think there was 12,000 Mayo fans there. And like, if it was any other county, they'd probably look at me like, well, look, they're playing Limerick, they're probably going to win. It's a probably 2.5, 3 hour drive down, depending where you are in Mayo. We'll leave it off. No, 12,000 Mayo fans. It was
unbelievable.
Great.
It's how you keep a buzz going with so much heartbreak. I don't know, but fair play to them to keep it going. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Tony, thanks very much for coming on to the podcast. Wishing you all the best with Kildimo this summer as well. I hope you can win the championship, and best of luck in the future with Limerick football as well. I hope you get that Talton Cup under your belts.
Good man, Christy. Thank you very much for your time as well and inviting me on. It was a great chat with you.
Thanks for listening to the Emerald Athlete podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to leave a review, and don't forget to check out our Instagram page, the Emerald Athlete Podcast.